Great job. So with that, we're going to pivot over. I want to continue the summer speaker series. Don and I had connected a couple of months ago, actually, and I'd asked him to come on. He was traveling the world though for like, I don't know, 6 weeks or something. So we had to delay until August. Don actually was one of the agents and sales leaders that was qualified on our President's Cup to attend the Danube River trip. So you guys heard Ronnie Bell talk about it a little bit. We've had a few agents that have were able to be on that trip. So congratulations to you in qualifying. That was a very elite group of agents and leaders. And we may dive into just some insights from the trip too, because we didn't all get to experience that. So I'd love you to share with us a little bit, Don, about what you experienced. I'm actually going to, well, I don't think I can unmute you. You can unmute yourself though, right? Perfect.
Muted.
All right. So I pulled some quick numbers this morning just to give you guys a little bit of perspective. Don is actually running in the, well, he's number 32 in the nation right now this year to date. So personal production, he's always driven very, very high numbers. But he also runs a sales team, and he has a very successful sales team. They're currently 23rd in the nation out of about 100 teams. So I'm really doing a good job on that front. I met Don, I don't know how many years ago it was, but I remember spending an evening drinking cocktails with Don in a hotel. And I don't know if it was in Texas or where it was, but I know Don was very, very green in the business, and he was an absolute sponge. And I remember after spending, I mean, we probably spent 6 or 7 hours talking the business that evening. I don't know if you remember that or not, Don, but do you? But it was, I remember walking away from that conversation saying, I know Don's going to crush it in this business. And I'm curious, that had to be maybe your first year or two in the business?
It kind of blends after a while,
Yeah.
but
So
yeah, it
when did
was
you
early.
actually get started? I'd love to just hear your health market story, like where you came from. What was your situation when you came into health markets? How did you find health markets? I don't even know how long ago it was that you've been with us. So I'd love to
This
just
is
hear your
May. I officially started May of 2010, so this is my 14th year.
14th year.
Um, yep. I uh, I started this business by necessity. I was 4 months behind on my mortgage and hiding my car from the repo man. So literally came to my interview and was hiding the car behind the building for fear that the repo man was going to come take my car. And got the job and then I was like, great, but I'm just a dumb hillbilly, right? So I have no briefcase or anything to start my business. So sold my prized possession, which was my pool table. Used that money. Very undervalued sale, by the way. I took a hit, and I used that money to buy second down clothes and briefcase and a laptop and $500 in leads. The old days, paper leads. $500 in leads, and I said has to work because my family will starve otherwise. So that was my driving force.
So how quickly did you get things off the ground? Was it pretty quick turnaround as far as your first sale and getting to some of the milestones, or how long did it take you?
Well, so I warned you, unfiltered. So I actually didn't. I actually because I was honest in my application with the state. I didn't know that when I was a young kid that wouldn't matter, and so I divulged some information of something, and that held up my license for 3 months. So for 3 months, I made zero income, even while having 4 months behind on my mortgage, hiding my car from the repo man, just, and in that period of time, I just I was in the office every day. We had the old associations, so I was trying to sell those. It's the only thing I could sell, not being licensed. And I just knew that, I see the success around me, and I just would just pay attention and just research and learn and ask everybody. And as soon as my window, as soon as my, as soon as that gate was lifted, I was going to kill it. So once that happened, within 3 months, I was number one in my office.
That's awesome, man. So you did get a chance to kind of incubate. You got to watch people around you. Who was your sales leader at the time?
Sue Moon, she was on her way out.
Yep.
So yeah, so she was, yeah, so she was I caught her at the tail end of her career.
Yeah, I've known Sue for many, many years, and so yeah, that's I wasn't sure. I couldn't remember who you'd actually started with. So,
Yeah.
so within a couple of months, you said you were at the top of the office.
I was. So the day one of our meeting, around in a round table in my new suit, which I didn't own before, and Mike Gutteri was my agency manager, and he went around the room, said, "Let's introduce everybody and tell each other about ourselves and what your goals are." And I said, I did my normal introduction. I said, and my goal is Ramel. And Ramel was the number one agent. And everyone laughed because, he meant like, financial goals. And I said, well, Ramel's number one, so I'll take whatever he makes. Then Ramel was assigned as my mentor. And then Ramel didn't want to help me because, called him out first day.
He knew he
So
had a target on his back.
I did, yeah. So yeah, within 3 months by necessity, yeah, I couldn't believe what I was doing, and I honestly just kept waiting for the other shoe to drop. Like I'm doing all of this, supposedly doing good for people and making all this money and all these bonuses, and I, yeah, it was life altering, still life altering.
Yeah. So that's so what did you do before health markets? Did you have a background in sales? Did you come from the insurance or the financial sector? Or...
I was in the food service industry. I sold all natural organic food service in 6 month increments. And I was the epitome of someone who was taught to, shave the edges off of a square peg and shove it in the hole, no matter what. Justify the means, right? By telling yourself you're doing good, but really I was a salesman, and no one could say no. And so this business really changed that for me when I answered my first call, and I was calling B leads. Remember those? They're not what you call B leads today. These were leads where they were uninsurable, right? No one would talk to them. And I remember talking to the first lady, and she was crying. And I thought about that being my mom. And I said, once told you about the high risk pool in your state? And she said, what is that? And it changed my whole world. So from then, I no longer was a salesman. I was, centered, client focused, and just this is that's pretty much how I got in. So yeah, no, I had no financial literacy. I had no insurance industry. I didn't know the difference between deductibles, copays, co-insurance. I actually got tricked coming in on the interview. I had no idea what it was. I just stumbled in, and now they put me in charge. So what the heck? So
That's awesome. Congratulations, man. That's I knew you had a fairly quick start, but I didn't know the licensing debacles. And I've helped guide people through that over the years. I mean, those are sometimes when it's out of your control, it can be really, really frustrating. So what about health markets is unique and special to you?
the culture, from day one, just culture of everyone being willing to share, being coming from, this is my 28th year in some form of sales, and you have something that works, that people want to hide that, and the idea that people were just, I'm talking to Tim Helms, and he's got a sash down past his toes, and this guy spends an hour with me, and I'm like, I'm nobody, why is he talking to me, and so the culture, but also just the ability to use the creative genius or the crazy in my head to really, I call every client a jigsaw puzzle, right? And sometimes it's a 50 piece, and sometimes it's 1,000 piece, and me being able to truly customize and cultivate and create something for that person, it excites me. It's why I get up every day. It's not to mention, if you don't, as you can see, I'm always topping supplementals because that's my passion. If I was just selling health insurance, you wouldn't know me. So this is for me, it's a supplemental play for sure.
So let's go down that rabbit hole. Why do you have such a passion for it?
I grew up really, really poor, and something that resonated with me is when I would read the slides and it would say, you know, gosh, I said, the 62% of bankruptcies are related to medical claims, and say, and 78% of them had health insurance in place. And then it talked about how this percentage of people live paycheck to paycheck. And I kind of chuckled because I was like, everybody I know lives paycheck to paycheck. I don't know a single person that doesn't live paycheck to paycheck. And then also my mother's had, two heart attacks, stroke, she has COPD, emphysema, misdiagnosis of cancer. So the idea that I can provide, I mean, I think I've just cleared two. I think we try to do as best we can. I paid out about $2 million in claims in my 13 years, and that's what I'm most proud about over any other thing. To be able to deliver I had a client of mine, a good friend of mine, he had been diagnosed with stage 4 non-Hodgkin's, and a long, long time friend of mine told me to buzz off when I tried to help him, and his wife's like, "Shut up and sign the papers," and he did. And he got cancer, and we met after he had about 9 months of treatment, got through all of that, and tear in his eye, and he said, "I just want to thank you because without what you put in place for me, my wife would have had to." She didn't have to run the businesses. And they have two kids that are like, actually one's going to be a professional baseball player now. So they're traveling all over, and so none of that skipped a beat. Family didn't know that anything was going on. They knew, but they didn't feel that was going on. And she didn't have to be at work in his place. She was able to use that money to pay for other people, and those are the stories that just I mean, I'm overwhelmed with emotion, right? It's when I talk about those things because I have hundreds of those stories, and that's that's why I do what I do.
Well done, my friend. Over 2 million in claims paid out. I mean, you've impacted a lot of people's lives with that massive amount of payout over the years. So that's awesome. So what are your favorite or go-to products, or do you have go-to products, or is it the entire portfolio? I'm just kind of curious with where
Pretty
you end up
much
landing.
they Yeah, it's pretty much the entire portfolio. I mean, I basically show the exposure of I don't know how similar it is in your area, but I show the exposure that the max out of pockets are all the same. And then I show them, regardless of whether we pay the most expensive or the least expensive, here's, when you have a heart attack, your bill's 9 grand. But, then I talk about what that actually means when you have the heart attack, right? I could care less about you paying your medical bill. I care about you making sure that you don't become a GoFundMe page. And I want to make sure that when your girls don't have to drop out of gymnastics because that's the life that you wanted with them. And so it goes from being just a deductible filler, which I think a lot of people get caught up in. If that's what I was doing, I wouldn't be doing this. I'm here to make sure that access to cash is available. So accident wise, now that exists on every policy, it's just a no brainer.
Right.
And I do that by tying it into stories. I ask them in the fact finder. I kind of play the Sesame Street game. I ask them questions in the fact finder, and then they give me a story about their daughter falling off the horse. And then when I get to the solution, I say, now when your daughter falls off the horse again, or if you would have had this is how this would have done. And they're like, oh, wow, so it's selling itself. Their stories told me. I asked a lot about family hair or family history, and have very uncomfortable conversations that most of you probably don't want to have. People cry all the time. I cry all the time. And, because of that, most of my clients get $100,000 critical illness on every policy, and I let them tell me that they don't need it. Right. And a lot of people might sell smaller amounts. Hospital wise is one that I include. I show in that exposure, appendix, kidney stone, gallbladder, MRSA, mono. I show that. But when I'm dealing with a certain type of client, if I'm dealing with a high-end client, you know, I use that as a takeaway. I say, to me, this is nothing more than a deductible filler, and not to assume anything, but you're not going to go bankrupt over 9 grand. Is that correct? They're like, no. Right. So know your client. And then I go, but the accident, no brainer. Probably the most important piece to talk about here is critical illness, and they all agree. So everybody gets accident and critical illness, and my blue collar clients all get accident, illness, hospitalized, and of course life insurance. So yeah.
Well, and I know you've done an incredible job with life insurance over the years too. So it's not you're not eating up all the premium that a client has on SUPs. What does it look like for that life insurance conversation? Is that something you do in the first appointment? Is that something you do in a policy review?
So it depends. And in my process in the fact find, I've changed it over the years, but I usually say, who handles your life insurance? And if they say Jim Bob, or I don't know, or I don't have any, right? They don't say I don't have any. Say, hey, listen, we can get to the right amount if we have time today. But with your permission, I'm going to make sure that we have something in place, regardless what that number is, before we walk out this door. With that conviction and that fire, and that's it, right? I use my favorite thing to say to people whenever I ask them a question is, does that concern you? I don't have any life insurance. Does that concern you? Well, yeah. I mean, I'm losing it with my company. Okay, well, we can get to the right target number today, which we can absolutely do that. But regardless of that, I'm going to ensure that we have something in place before I walk out this door.
Yeah.
It's not a matter of, it's not a question. It's we are doing this, right? So with that conviction and you believe in it, no one tells me no. It's just not a, it's not an option.
Yeah.
But then if they do have life insurance, then it's, I don't know who covers it. Oh, do you know how much you have? I think I've got 250. I think I got 500. Great. So what we're gonna do in 3 weeks, we're gonna get together. That's another thing I do. I do policy reviews every single client, regardless of the quality or that your perceived quality. Every client gets a policy review. And on that policy review, I've made notes, follow up life insurance. I haven't pulled that policy out. Oh, you have 500,000. That might be too much. Might be enough. And then we just go through that needs analysis, fact finder, and that's the process.
You've mentioned the fact finder a few times. It sounds like that is absolutely a part of your process. Is that correct?
100%. The fact finder is the whole reason that my success exists, right? That it's really is. If you are just checking off a box, asking quick questions. This is not popular opinion, but I don't ask budget. I mean, I have supplemental sales that are $800-900 in premium, right? That are, yeah, and they remain on the books, and my retention is high because of the fact finder, because I have hard conversations and lots of hugs and lots of invites to barbecues, and this is a relationship that we build, and people know that you care. I mean, I got clients with zero premium deductible health insurance, $800 in subs. They don't even bat an eye. It's all about the process, and they know that you care, and you're not just selling them something.
Right. Well, I know you got a very quick start at the beginning of your career, and I know you also mentor and train a lot of agents, coming into your team. So you're working with new agents. I'm interested in just kind of understanding what some of the granular activities are that you did early in your career to get that quick start, and that you're teaching and training new agents today to help them get a quick start. So you kind of think about, what does an agent have to do? Because a lot of the agents on this call are, tier one agents are brand new. Some of them haven't even sold a deal yet. What should they be thinking about? What should they be focusing on? What are the day-to-day activities they should be doing to find quick early success in this business?
Well, so first off, I'm excited to see all these new faces. No one here I think has met my crazy. So this has been cool. Hope I'll see you at the next event. The common denominator of success, I always say, is that every person has equal opportunity. The common denominator of success is successful people will do the things that others say they won't, and they do them better. And I don't know if I made that up or I stole that from someone, but that is what I've said. And so the answer is, I mean, gosh, when I was an agent, I'd run appointments to 1 a.m. You're willing to see me? I'll, I'll see you at 1 a.m. You know, you're now early. That's not my game, but late. But what I do, and so I came from a world of dial, 400 dials. I mean, that's how I built my career. That's not how I train, but that's how I built my career. Now it's the dials are absolutely necessary because they are your, um, it gives you, it's empowering to know that if you are good at dials, you're good at booking appointments, that you can at any time change your landscape. You can literally come in and say, I'm gonna make 100 dials, go make a couple grand, and life is good. But while that's happening, you know, the walk and talks, the cold calls. I mean, these are all things. I mean, stylists, this business, it's just been regurgitated again and again and again. And I haven't really changed the process. I just really hammer it. And, so one of the things that I get my group, and everybody runs their business a little different. We're almost fully all face to face. My whole team, we're almost fully face to face. So it's might look a little different. So what I do is I get them while they're doing all the traveling 2-3 hours this way and doing all, and just like we did back in the day. Meanwhile, I have them building a real strong snowball in their local community, being a pillar of their community. So I have them reach out to, attend all the events, the chambers, being involved in charities, doing everything in that local community. Meanwhile, I have them doing intentional focus networking. Right. Networking is great. And I want them involved. I always get them involved in a networking group or two. I have them do social networking and things like that because you want to do that. But the reality is, that title agent, he isn't going to run into someone for you every day. So intentional focus networking is taking, if you, depending on your areas, but finding 5 PNC agents, finding 5 financial planners, finding 5 estate planning attorneys, finding 5 CPAs, and believe it or not, hairstylists, those are the best. And literally, you're not just getting to know their business, but getting to know them as human beings and becoming friends with them. So you get enough of those people, the dials become less needed. When you have and you coach those people, that PNC agent, to just like what we do in our fact finder. Our fact finder is created to ask in that fact finder, when's the last time you had your home and auto looked at? What's your comprehensive deductible? Oh, it's been 5 years. Well, the reason I asked is because an associate of mine said it tells me that if it's been more than 2 years, chances are you're paying too much. Will it be okay if I pass on John's name? Pass your name on to John? They go, absolutely. So every appointment, I'm getting referrals to send out, right? Which you give, you get. And so, and then I coach those, we coach those people that are now our friends that we're building a relationship with on how to get you business every single time, to how to get you a referral. So in that financial planners process, you become friends and they're like, they've got, hey, this is what you should really do. It's $400 a month. And part of their process is asking, who manages your health insurance? Like, when's the last time you had it looked at? Lots of changes, and a guy I use, he's been saving my clients 50 to 70%. Now I go in, I save them money, and guess what? I just found $400 for the financial planner to be able to do which is his incentive to do so. But if you really build strong relationships with those people, no one wants to hear this, but that is really what we do. Well, once they got that going on, because that's all free, right? Then we really get into marketing. And so I know you might ask that, so I don't want to steal that thunder, but we start there, we do all the free stuff, all the pull tabs. I had one of my newest agents, so proud of him. He's 90 days in, he just hit his tier 2. And so I'm super proud of him. And he called me and he said, I went out and just did walk and talks, and I dropped a pull tab off, And not 1 hour later, I got a call. I know that doesn't happen every day, but he got a call from that pull tab, and he realizes it's the one I just put down. Like the guy literally just called me, and he booked him yesterday, $300 in subs, right? So one of those things isn't going to do it. It's all of those things. But so I teach my agents, just like in my area, I am the pillar, right? I have billboards everywhere, TV ads, newspaper. I'm in the movie theater. I'm in a pharmacy. I hire soccer moms to drive around with my information wrapped around their vehicle. That was a good give back. I love giving back to the community. It helped them pay their car payment, and it looks like I have 50 vehicles all over the place. So
Oh,
as
wait,
Josh,
wait, I
how
want to find out more about that. So you recruited a bunch of soccer moms to put your advertising on the back of their minivans?
Oh, not on the back, man. I wrapped their whole darn vehicle. So
And
I was
they agreed to this. How much are you paying them?
$300 a month a piece. And it made and they all and it really made a huge difference for them, right? I wanted to find a way to be able to do that. And so what I did is put an ad out. It was a weird one, right? And here's the requirements. You got to eat, work, live, play in my community. You have to have multiple young children. I don't care. I don't want traveling to, all across the city. I don't care about that. I want you here. So you have multiple young kids and multiple events, gymnastics and soccer and this and that. And they just see those cars everywhere. And it's and so I had to write up the legality side of it, find a lawyer to help me with that to make myself not responsible and do all that. But yeah, it's we're about to put four more out there. You won't you
How many
literally
total? How many total do you have now?
I have three right now. One was in an accident, putting that one back and hoping to do four more. But as I'll take the word from Josh Hounce. If that is how you choose to, build your business and you want to be that local person, we literally annoy the shit out of the client. So they have no choice but to do business with us. We are in their face everywhere. We call it the four-prong approach. It's the marketing, right? It is the SEO. So I pay SEO, and I'm number one in every, no one even competes, right? I'm my 5-star review and my storefront. Those four-prong approach is so I take an agent. I've got 5 agents that have storefronts, and we just replicate this process, and it keeps working again and again and again. But you might be, more phone jockeys. It's not my thing, right?
Right.
Nothing against it. But right, how do you want your business to look? I'm building relationships and cultivating, and I have the mayor and the governor stop in, and I have whole assisted living communities drop off their bus full of Medicare. I thought I was being pranked. I had an ice cream shop right next to me, and they literally just pull up 40, 70-year-olds. And I'm like, what the heck? And this lady comes in and says, you do Medicare here? I'm like, yeah. And they're like, yes, I'm a manager of assisted living community, and all of these people need your help. I'm like, this can't be real. And and so yeah, I think I'm on like my 30th one or something from that group.
Oh my God.
But it really is truly what I love being is the pillar of the community. Now, with that said, I don't like being recognized. I'm recognized everywhere. I can't drink my old fashioned on a Tuesday anymore because people judge me. And my kids said the only thing they made me promise, please don't advertise at our school, Dad. We see you everywhere. Friends know who you are. Please don't advertise at our school.
That's awesome, man. I've never heard about the soccer mom wrapping vehicles. I've heard a lot of things over the last 23 years, and I haven't ever heard that one.
It's
That is great.
hilarious that you say that. Previous leadership, we won't the name will not be mentioned. Would have thought it was crazy, shut it down right away. And Rick goes, "Well, I think it's crazy. It's your business. Do what you want." And I can't tell you how many I got people who post like Pokemon, gotta catch them all. People send me pictures Like, oh, I saw one in the blah blah blah, and I'm like, I saw your vehicle. I'm like, I wouldn't drive that vehicle. I'm definitely not wrapping. I'm not wrapping my Corvette. So that was my way to get Rick off my back, to be like, I'm not wrapping a vehicle, and it helps the community at the same time.
Yeah, that's awesome, and that obviously, I bet every one of those moms can use the 300 bucks you're kicking them too, each month.
Hey, yeah, absolutely. I've had cries and hugs, and couldn't believe what this does for us, and it's nice to give back.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I appreciate you taking us down that rabbit hole. So you do have a storefront. Do you work from the storefront, or do you travel to your clients today?
I have not traveled in so it's so funny. Why didn't I do this years ago? I listened to Rick years ago. I opened this storefront officially January. So this will be my third January, so 2 years ago. So going into my third year of having this storefront. Prior to that, worked out of corporate, traveled everywhere, spread wide, and lack of focus. And then 2 years ago, opened up my storefront, and my storefront isn't probably the typical storefront. I have a pool table and a bourbon bar in the back, so
Right.
I spend a lot of time here. And I remember saying, like, clients aren't going to travel. I've got 3,000 clients, like, I don't have time, and I'll still make exceptions for elderly clients, and drive out, miss that a little bit. But I was putting 70,000 miles a year on my car, man, and I wasn't driving a sedan, so I'm putting 70,000 miles on a car I shouldn't be putting 70,000 miles on. And well, 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, I'm here, and every day, Monday through Friday, I get walk-ins all the time. Um, it's been absolutely just humbling, and also kind of kicking myself for not, doing it earlier.
Right. So your guys, you and your guys, I don't know. I presume at this point you've got people lining up to talk to you, so you're probably not buying many leads, but you have new agents buying leads, or are they? Is that
Absolutely.
primarily where new agents are getting their leads from, other than the marketing? Because the marketing takes a little bit of time, right, to get kind of up and running. So, um,
Yeah.
how do you
Yeah.
leverage leads? I guess is my question.
Yeah. So I'm one of the weird ones who loved making dials. So I run a Monday session, and so we set them up with, third party. You can have as many of those as you want, and of course the quoters and the IVRs, and we coach around that. But yeah, I mean, just like you said, marketing takes time and money. And in the beginning, you have, a lot of one and not a lot of the other. So, a lot of time. So do all the free stuff, do all the networking, do all those kind of things, build that snowball that you're doing. But when it comes to leads, a lot of third party. I mean, a lead is I don't know if you remember Don Guru, or Don Runji,
Don Runji.
right?
Yep.
Don
Lead
Runji.
guru.
A lead is a lead, and a lead's not dead till the person on the other end is. Right? No such thing as a hot, no such thing as a cold. Give me this. And that's the world we grew up in. And so I still teach that. We battle, we practice, we fight through, knowing what our competition is doing wrong. It's our obligation to demand that attention. Someone's frustrated, you call on a shared lead, they're the 50th person they talk to. Listen, man, I need you to hear me out. I know this is important to you, and you just don't take no for an answer, right? And you push, and you don't listen to anything they say. But I get excited by that. The person that tells me to F off and becomes my best friend, that's my favorite thing in the planet to do. It was absolutely. So I kind of miss, I haven't made a dial in 8 years, maybe. So I, you know, but for my new agents, that's what you're doing. You're gonna make these dials. You're gonna make these dials. Meanwhile, you're networking. Meanwhile, you're walking, talking. Meanwhile, you're becoming a public figure in your community, and you're taking live transfers, and you're doing all these other things. But the dials, like I said before, are the most empowering thing that you have control of, because networking is going to take 6 months. before you really build a strong networking group. They're going to give you their C and D clients, not their A and B clients. So, expect the worst of those. Your marketing is going to take time to build, and and gravitate, and start to build. But your dials truly are, even though that's probably everyone on here is like, ugh, it's my least favorite part.
Yep.
Dials truly are absolute most control you have over this business. I mean, just don't be afraid, have thick skin, and they're not mad at you. They're mad at the industry, and just push through. So we have a script, but till you get them to listen to you, yeah, we got some kind of different things we say, but really just be creative. Just get them to stay on the phone, then get them to calm down. Now back to the script. Here are the things we need. Here's what we're gonna do, right? But I mean, we'll hang up, call them right back. Hey, I'm so sorry, we must got disconnected. Oh, let's be honest, you hung up on me, and I get it. I understand. I appreciate it. But if I could have finished, I'd let you know that I was local. I'm right here, and my job is not to sell you anything. It's to determine whether we should have a further conversation. I love that line, by the way. All
Yep.
right. You cut someone off. They want to be, you're to be sold. Nope. I'm not selling you anything. I'm just here to determine whether we should have a further conversation or not. So, and that's a different tone, and people back off, and you love the guy who screams at you and then at the end goes, I'm so sorry, man. And you're like, oh, it's cool, man. And then you show up at their house and they're like, I just want to apologize again, for telling you off, and guess what? That person's saying yes. They're not saying no, right?
Yep.
They feel obligated to do so. So I don't know if that's what you're getting out of that, but if
No,
can't
that's
tell, I have extreme
great.
ADD, so I'm bounce all over the place. So
No, that was
so
beautiful, man. That's exactly. I mean, I think so many times we get caught up in the head trash of the quality of leads and the fact that I can't get a hold of anybody and nobody answers the phone. And to hear somebody driving the kind of numbers you are with the kind of team that you have saying this has to be a part of what you do. I totally agree with you in the beginning until you get to the point where it doesn't have to be a part of what you do, right?
correct.
I mean,
Yep.
so
And I teach my agents though that it never really leaves you, right? Never get in the habit, out of the habit. Does 400 become 200, become 100? Sure. But getting out of the habit of dialing makes you complacent and makes you rusty. So then when you do need to do it, you're like, oh, I forgot what I was doing. I don't remember how to do this anymore, right? So yeah, I mean, Rick always says, these leads suck, give me more, right?
yep.
So that's these leads are awful. I want more of them. Uh, why don't I get enough leads? They all suck. Yeah, listen, they all suck, right? It's the old thing of the only thing we can control is the activity, right? And I would challenge all of you to track when you track your dials that the ratios that Silas gives you always add up. The only variable is you, right? When you get that, that dial is gonna lead to that many contacts always. Since the beginning of my time, since 10 years before I was here, since 20 years before I was here, those amount of dials lead to that amount of contacts. You being knowing how to get through those objections, and to just not take no for an answer, is the only variable there that you can that you have, dial four, mine was 400, down 360, 400 dials equals 40 contacts, equals 10 appointments, right? 10 appointments equals 7 solved, because dog's going to get sick, and grandma's going to die, and they're going to cancel, and they're going to stand you up, and of those 7 you're going to sell 4 and you make 6 figures. That's been it's a little been the model since day one. I haven't taught anything new, but now it's just understanding that you got to be a little more aggressive, right? And honestly, what I ask myself, my team every Monday, we do a dial session, and we do battles from 5 to 6, and then from 6 to 8 is actual, time to dial, and we just fire it up, and we're like, just remember that when that person hangs up and you can't say beyond a shadow of a doubt that they're taken care of properly, that potentially you just let them file bankruptcy. So just keep that in mind. And when I hear that, I'm like, I don't care what you have to say to me. You could scream at me, you could do whatever. I'm demanding that attention. You're going to listen to me. I'm going to know the answer because chances are you bought one of these. Now you scroll on to social. Gosh, it's in the last like 2 months, like the social media ads of national PPOs, no zero deductible, could go anywhere you want. I mean, and they're almost all scams. They're almost all BS, and you know that's what that person. I mean, Silas, we don't have competition to do what we do.
Right.
We really don't. We really don't. We don't have competition. When I run into someone who actually bought a health insurance plan, I need that agent's number. I just want to call and tell them how great of a job they're doing, and I appreciate what they're doing for their community. Because it is not the case. It is constantly, fixed indemnity about this, or and everyone has their difference of opinion. So
Yeah, no, that's good. So it sounds like you closely track your business and key metrics in your business, right?
as of recently, yes. Organization is not my thing. That's why I have 3 assistants.
It definitely helps though. But to even know that you've got over 2 million in claims paid out, you're tracking some pretty important things on that. I'm curious. So just to give people some perspective, do you mind sharing what your marketing budget is or what you're spending in marketing monthly or annually?
About 80 grand a year. I just added a TV campaign to the end of open enrollment. That took us to 80.
Okay.
But a lot, I mean, after the reimbursements and after the real hard conversations with the carriers, I tell them, hey,
Yep.
here's my $10,000 commercial. How much you want out of this? I need
Right.
5 grand. Right. So I pay, of that 80, I pay 20.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's the difference there. So yeah. So about 80 grand. What was the other question?
No, I was just curious about how much money you were spending. So I think that and you ease into that over time, right? That didn't
Oh
happen
God,
overnight.
yeah. Oh yeah. I would, yeah. No, no, no. I literally, and that's the thing is people will always come into like, I tried this marketing, it didn't work. You're right. It didn't work. You have one piece out there, right?
Right.
So, my thing is when you're doing marketing, having a minimum of 4 to 5 pieces out there so that you're in front of people's face. And for you brand new people, printing off take ones and then taking them to the local dry cleaners and the Chinese restaurant and just making yourself everywhere, right? That's all very inexpensive marketing, and that's what I did before I had a budget. And then now it's just, kind of ran away with itself. And, I have to keep telling people no all the time. Like, nope, I'm already everywhere. I don't need anything else.
Well, and I
So
think it really what you're saying here confirms what we've been saying for a long time. And you've heard all of you on the call have heard, this whole idea about drilling deep instead of going wide, the whole idea that you've got to have hundreds of irons in the fire, and it's all about layering. It's about people seeing you multiple places. And then I'll reiterate what I've said a number of times. Somebody said this a couple of years ago, and it really stuck with me. They said success in marketing is achieved through 1,000 tactics, and I really think it is. There's no magic bullet, but if you layer it on top of each other and you consistently do it, especially in a smaller demographic where you're drilling deep, that's where you're going to see success. And I think we've got more and more agents embracing that and doing that too. So,
Silas, I know we probably need to wrap up, but I want to leave with an analogy I guess that is a story that I can describe this business, right? I call this business building a snowball, right? Packing a snowball. So when I was young, loved snow, hate it now, hate the cold, don't know why I still live here. Make more money, buy an island. That's my thing. All right. Anyway, so hate the snow, hate the cold. But when I was young, daddy, I want to go build a snowman. And he said, the temperature's not right, son. It just, and I'd go out there and be like, yeah, whatever. And it just, because the temperature wasn't right. Then it would start to warm up a little bit. It'd start to pack a little bit. So I go out there and I was just a little kid, and my dad taught me to roll snowball to the right and the left so that it wasn't lopsided. So remember that. And but as I did that, what would it do? It will pick up twigs, it'll pick up leaves, rocks, right? And I get it to a certain size and think I'm getting to a point where I can start to build the base of my snowman, and a chunk would fall off, right? And just break off. I'm like, and I gotta pack it all back in and go again. And so I look at this business as we're building a snowball, and we're pushing it up a mountain. And you get to choose how big that mountain is. And this is where I think people get complacent, right? I live in Ohio, there are no mountains. So we have Hocking Hills, and some of my agents, they'll push this little tiny ball up to the top of this little hill and go, oh, my account broke out, and they'll tip it over the side and let it roll. And of course, it's not very high, and it doesn't have a lot of height, therefore it hits the bottom quickly, and that career is dust, right? Versus, someone like me who's still pushing, and my snowball's this big, right? And I know my geography, and some of you nerds on there might know better than me. I don't know if I'm in Mount Everest, but maybe Mount Kilimanjaro. I don't know. But the point is, I'm not done pushing. I'm not done grinding. And when the higher you push and the bigger you pack and all of that you do, when you get to the top of that tip where you're finally like, you know what? It's time for me to coast. What's a snowball do as it rolls down a hill?
Bigger and bigger.
Bigger, bigger on your own for all the hard work that you put in, all the grind, all of the things that others wouldn't do, wouldn't work till 1 a.m., wouldn't get up at 5 a.m. They was too afraid to walk and talk to us, didn't want to cold call a business, didn't want to spend 400 dials because this is too hard, right? That's what this career is. It's a snowball that you get to create and choose how large that is. But know that along the way, you're going to try things that don't work. And then a chunk of that's going to fall off, and you get frustrated, and you get back up, and you continue to just keep pushing. Right. And that's about the best analogy I've come up with in this career, because it truly is. Or as you remember, Roger Staubach, when he was at our event,
Yeah.
most boring motivational speaker I've ever been witness to. I literally got kicked under the table, falling asleep. And but he said something that I say all the time, and it's resonated with me. It's written all over my house, and it takes a series of spectacular events to yield spectacular results. Doing these little tiny things, you might say, "Oh, well, pull tabs don't work, so I'm not going to do those." Oh, I don't want to spend all this time networking because that's a lot of time and energy. It's all of those things together that create those results, right? Also, do good work. You don't have to work hard. That's also a motto to live by. So.
This has been great, man. We didn't get to half the questions I said we were going to get to because we went down some rabbit holes. And honestly, though, I love I love your passion for the business. I feel very fortunate to be in business next to you and watch the growth that you've seen, and you're just doing some incredible things, buddy. Last question I have for you. You've been here 13 years now. So how has your life changed? Your personal life changed because of health markets? Like I think you're in a much different place today than when you began 13 years ago, right?
Yeah. The where I grew up and how I grew up, and remembering no plumbing, no electric, no heat, and the life that I lived and the world traveling that you talked about. But more importantly, like, my father just lost his job, and we have a new why right now, which is I have to pay $73,000 off besides what I've got to do for myself to pay off the mortgage so my dad doesn't literally work himself to death. So the ability to be able to help family and friends and literally alter my existence. I mean, they don't teach financial literacy in hillbilly school. So I don't take my advice of any of my decisions in my career, because I got a lot of toys and cars and boats and all that fun stuff. So don't listen to that stuff. But no, I mean it literally it makes me emotional. When I look at my pool in my backyard, and that pool, which is a doubles as a as a 28-person hot tub, because I'm a bit extra, with a waterfall. That pool was the size of the room that I was forced to grow up in when I was young. And that I again and again and again, I tear up, and I can't believe where I am today. The life that I've lived, the life that I'm going to continue to live, and all by doing right. I just literally doing good. I still, I'll tell you, I used to tell my wife every time that I was afraid to wake up. I was afraid to go to bed, because I afraid that this was all just a dream. And then I would wake up, and I'd be in my shitty apartment, and I'd be driving a Pontiac. If you don't know what that is a Chevy Cavalier where they fuse the Pontiac trunk to the back, and it smoked everywhere I went. And I borrowed money off of anybody and everybody, and now it's just the sky's the limit. I saw my first Corvette when I was 10, and I fell in love, and then I realized how expensive. And I remember going to the library and being like, well, I'm gonna rent one of those someday. And I bought two in the last 2 years, right? And you know I created a company called Mojo Driven Enterprises, that I created when I was 10 years old, and that became reality. Now Mojo Driven Enterprises is an insurance distribution channel and investment real estate and fun stuff. And it's just all just, I mean, I'm an open book with that. And you know, and that's probably isn't where anyone wants to hear, but people say, why stay with health markets? Right? Others have left. Why you stay with health markets? Because health markets changed my life. Like I went from making on a good year 60 grand. And when I told my friends that I had a $250,000 tax bill, they wanted to smack me. They were like, you're complaining about a $250,000 tax bill? Buddy, I don't make that much. And you're worried about the taxes that you owe. That was a very pivotal moment in my life, where I was like, yeah, I need to just keep just onward and upward, elevating, right? That's it. So
Well, Don, this has been awesome, man. I appreciate you giving us an hour. I owe you cocktails next time we get together. Really appreciate you, and appreciate you being a part of the organization and all that you're doing, because I know you're doing a lot of different things on a lot of different fronts. So you guys want to help me thank Don for being here today? That was awesome, buddy. Well, hey, everybody, we're going to wrap things up. I know we went a few minutes over, but I didn't want to stop this. This is too good. So
thank you guys for having me. Feel free, anybody ever wants to reach out, hear more crazy, I'm happy to be of assistance in any way that I can. And Silas, I was humbled that you asked me. Honestly, I've looked up to you my whole career. I've watched you since the beginning. And I'm like, and I got that message. It's like, what the heck does he want from me? Like, so very humbled and very, very appreciative. So
you gave
thank
me
y'all.
exactly what I was looking for today, my friend. So well done. Really well done. So, all right,
It
everybody,
could
we'll
it
be
could have
back
gone
next.
many different directions.
All right. We'll be back next week, everybody. Thanks again for
Take
being
care.
here. Have a great week. I'll see some of you in Indiana on Friday. So take care, everybody. Thanks.